Alright, welcome everyone to the first MCR Game Analysis. Today I will be analyzing a game from the top player on the site MahjongSoft, who is Dennis L. And in the last year's ranking he is ranked as the top player. And I will be analyzing this game from him that he played, and we will discuss the strategy he uses to build his hand, and maybe to see what the difference is between what I would have done and what he does. And for those of you who are maybe not too familiar with MCR, I will also sometimes show here the corresponding fan that the player is aiming for here. And yeah, without further ado, let's start with the analysis here. So here I did not find an option where you can hide the hands of the other players. So while doing this analysis, just pretend that you don't see any of these tiles. So they should not influence our decision making. Okay, so let's jump into the analysis. So here, replace all the flowers, and yeah, he gets to draw the first tile. And here immediately, if you first look at this hand and try to figure out the plan, you maybe already see something, and maybe you don't, right? And a general suggestion that I have is, when you're in doubt, or if you don't know what you should go for, that it is always a good idea to just first discard all of the honor tiles, right? And then after you have discarded all of the honor tiles, then you can think about what you currently have on the hand. But on the other hand, if you have lots of honor tiles, especially lots of single honor tiles, it's also a very good idea to check first if you can go for the special hand of knitted tiles, right? Lesser honor knitted, for example, right? And if we do the count, we have let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So we do have at most 8 tiles for lesser honors and knitted, which is not enough to go for, right? So in this case, you should start by discarding some honor tiles, right? But if we further look at this hand, there is already a fan that stands out clearly here, that if nothing strange happens, you should actually go for, which in our case is mixed shifted chows, right? So let me visualize this for you here. This fan, right? So this is the mixed shifted chows, which is worth 6 fan, right? So it is here, and you already see we have 3 shapes ready for this fan, right? So you see the 4, 5, 6, which you only need the 5. You can also take it from the player on your left. You take the 5 of characters, and you take the 7 of circles, right? And if you manage to get all of this, your hand is basically already completed. So here, obviously, if you get a dragon pair, it's a good idea to just keep it. Here he throws the 3 of characters, but if you throw one of the dragons, that is also perfectly fine in my opinion. This discard shows that he is already committed to this fan, right? To this mixed shifted chows. So now the question is, why didn't he throw the 3 of dots, right? Why the 3 of characters? Well, in our case here, for example, right, you see the mixed shifted chows here. We can take the circle suit away and replace it with this circle suit here, right? Which is also mixed shifted chows. So actually by leaving the 3 dots on the hand, you can get a mixed shifted chows in another way, right? So you keep this option open. So this is why you should discard the 3 of characters before the 3 of circles. But again, if you discard a dragon, that is also perfectly fine, right? But if you want to, let's say, dream for small little dragons, right, then you should keep all the dragons, right? If you draw one more dragon into a pair, your hand has suddenly gains a lot of potential. Okay, so here you drop the 3 of characters.
Pong.
Now this call here, obviously, it advances your hand one step further to mix shift the chow, so
Pong.
you should just take it and commit to the fan shown below, right? Okay, discard a 3 of circles. And now we get one of the tiles needed, and now we're one away from ready. So now we're just waiting and discarding any tile we draw until we get the 5 of bamboo or the 7 of circles.
Pong.
So just
Pong.
click through until he gets it, right? Here you can consider keeping the 9 of bamboo in the hand, but ultimately it doesn't do anything, right? Your only chance of winning is by getting the mixed shifted chows, so you can straight up discard it, or if you deem the red dragon to be a little bit more dangerous, you can discard the red dragon first. Okay, so here we get the 4 of circles, right? And in this case, it doesn't really do anything for us, right? It might improve our hand to a mixed triple chow, right, with 4, 5, 6. So here we can maybe consider first discarding the 9 of bamboo. Okay, now we are waiting for the 5 of bamboo, and at this point the hand is basically already completed, right? You just draw and discard until you get the 5 of bamboo, so you can jump straight to the end and see if he gets it. And he gets it, right? Not long after he got ready. Alright, so now let's move on to this next hand. Already the starting hand looks very good, which is basically already telling us to commit for the fan of half flush, right? So half flush here is worth 6 points. So you must be careful, right? You need actually 2 more points to have a valid hand. And to make matters worse, the triplet of the north wind is only worth 1 point, right? So you probably need to call Pong on the 9 of characters to secure this extra fan. So let's see how he plays this hand. Alright, so already here we start by discarding tiles that are not in the character suit to commit for this half flush.
Pong.
We only need to discard 2 more tiles in order to have only honor tiles and character tiles. So let me clear this fan here. Okay, so now we're committing for half flush. Alright, so just start discarding any non-character tiles and call any tiles that you can call, basically. And when discarding tiles, always start from the tiles you think are could be most dangerous later on. So the 5 of circles obviously can be used in many more hands than the 1 of circles, right? Or is more likely to get called, right?
Pong.
Okay. So you just click through a little bit until the player gets something. Okay, now he draws his first character tile, and now he only
吃
has
碰
relevant tiles for his Fan. Okay, so now the situation has become much more interesting, right? Because this player here now actually is one away from the Fan 7 pairs, right? Which is actually quite valuable, right? It's 24 points. Now, to maximize the chances of him drawing ready for himself, he should discard tiles that has been discarded a lot, right? So candidates could be the West and the White Dragon, since they both have been discarded twice, right? You can also argue that the North Wind is also once available, but in our case here, having 4 North Winds in our hand is actually not a detriment to 7 pairs, right? So you can actually have 4 North Winds in your hand, and they count as 2 pairs. And in addition, 4 North Winds also gives the Fan of Tilehog, right? So having the North Wind is a bit more valuable. So here you should start by discarding either the White Dragon or the West Wind. Dennis decides for the White Dragon.
碰
So let's click through until we get something relevant. Okay, so now the South Wind here is a bit more valuable here since it hasn't been discarded. But this also means that it could be dangerous, right? So maybe you should keep it for now and start by discarding the West Wind. Okay. So now the player is one away from ready, right? He also now has the option for going to all pungs, right? By pawning either the 4, the 6, or the 8 of characters. Now the question is, do you discard the South Wind or the 2 of characters, right? And if you, let's say, discard the 2 of characters, right? Then you are basically committing for either 7 pairs, which is still possible, right? Or all pungs. But if you discard the South Wind here, you actually gain the additional acceptance of getting the 3 of characters, right? You can cheat a 3 of characters with a 2 and 4 and be waiting for half flush, right? And since you have already drawn the 9 of characters, right, you have enough Fan, right? So you also have 2 concealed pongs, right? So you definitely have enough Fan to win the hand. Now, should you discard the South or the 2 of characters? Well, since the South has not been discarded yet, right? The tile is obviously a little bit more dangerous to discard than the 2 of characters, which was just discarded, right? So if you discard the 2 of characters, you're not dealing in, whereas with the South, you could possibly, it is very possible that you can deal in right now. So here, if you prefer the safer option, discard the 2 of characters, but if you want to be risky and maximize your own chances of winning, you should discard the South Wind. So let's see what he does here. Alright, he decides for the safer option in the 2 of characters. Okay, so now this is obviously a very unfortunate situation, right? If he had discarded the South, then he would have been ready, waiting for half flush, right? So let's see what he does. What he does in this situation. Does he discard the South Wind and add additional acceptance to his hand, right, with the 2 of characters, or does he discard the 3 of characters? Alright, he discards the South. So with this discard, right, he maybe admits, okay, I've made a mistake, right, I should have discarded South previously, right, so obviously that can happen. Now let's see what he gets here. This is not very useful. So here, obviously, the question is, do you call the 9 of characters for the Kong? And in this case, it is not very useful because you give up your closed hand, and also you give up the 2 concealed Pongs, which is worth 2 Fan, and you're only getting 1 additional Fan with this Kong, so you should skip this. Okay, here he draws the south. That is quite unfortunate. So here, now the player is ready for 7 pairs. If he discards the 9 of characters, he's waiting for the 3 of characters, right? And he should discard the 9 of characters here, since the 9 of characters was just discarded not too long ago, right? You see here. So if you discard the 3 of characters, you are technically waiting on the 9 of characters, but it is just not available here. So in my case, I would here discard the 9 of characters. Okay, the player here discards the 3 of characters, which in my opinion here, as you just heard, is a mistake, right? You should take ready here. So that's quite interesting. Quite an interesting discard here.
Gang.
So let's see how it plays out. Okay, it takes the Kong, right?
Gang.
I think he just wants to deny the player to the right last draw. And, well, now you should start defending, right? Okay, that's pretty interesting. This tile to me seems quite dangerous, right? Since there is, I think, are there all 6? Oh no, this tile is not dangerous. All of the 6 of bamboo are already out, right? And all of the 8s are already out. So this tile is actually quite safe. And okay, here he discards the flower. The red dragon equally as strong, since everybody has called and 3 red dragons can be seen, so just discard something that is safe, and this round ends in a draw. Okay, so definitely a missed opportunity here for Dennis, right? But ultimately I think the winning tile wouldn't have been available anyway, so let's go to the next hand. Alright, so let's see what happens here. Okay, so now already we have an interesting situation here. The question is, what are the options that we have in our hand right now, right? And one of the options I see here is, for example, going for something like an outside hand, right? We already have 3 completed shapes for an outside, or we have 2 completed shapes for an outside hand, 1 white dragon, which we can pawn quite easily, and we also have the 9 of circles, which is also seed for an outside shape. So one idea could be to start by discarding the 6 of dots, right? But what we can also see is that we could right, have potential for all types, right? So if we manage to draw some character tiles, right, then we can also have the option of going to all types. So by keeping all of these options open, right, you can start consider by just discarding the 6 of circles that you do right away, right? You can just discard it right away, or you can maybe, if you want to keep the option for, let's say, pure straight open, you can also start by discarding the green dragon, right? So you can keep all options open. Let's see what he does. Okay, he discards the west wind, which I think is a slight inaccuracy, right? Because this just gives up the chance of getting all types, right? So, okay, so if he draws another west wind, right, he could go for the all types hand. Of course, if he keeps the green dragon, if he draws the second one, then he can go for double 2 dragons, which is also worth 6 Fan, right? 2 dragon Pong, which is here, 2 dragon pungs, but there you need to pung both of the dragons, right? And with all types, right, you can afford sometimes to only pawn one of the honor tiles. So I would have discarded either the 6 of circles or the green dragon. Okay, there he draws his first character tile, right? Now he probably starts by discarding the 6 of circles, probably thinking in the direction of an outside hand. And he does so. Okay, now this is very unfortunate situation, right? So at this point, if he had the west wind still in this hand, right, then you can seriously consider going for the all types hand, right, by discarding the either the 3 of bamboo or the green dragon.
Pong.
So slight missed opportunity here. So now we need to think about other ways of completing this hand, right? And obviously we still have the option of going for outside hand, but also what's also possible is the fun of reversible tiles here, which is worth 8 points, right? Reversible tiles. You can only have the following tiles in your hand. And we already have a lot of them, right? We do have the white dragon, so this counts as one shape. We have the 1 of circles, right? 1, 2, 3, with an additional 1 of circles. This can easily form into 2 shapes, right? And we can use the 1 to 5 of circles quite easily. And we also have the 9 of bamboo and 1 9 of circles. So we already have good chances for getting 4 shapes in reversible tiles. And to keep the options for an outside hand open, right? Let's say we draw the 9 of characters, the 8 of characters. We should start by discarding the 6 of characters, right? And he does so. Okay, now this is a reversible tile, and it also gives an additional option for having an outside shape with a 7, 8, 9 of bamboo. So here we should maybe start discarding the 3 of bamboo, since it does not help with any of the plans of either outside hand or reversible tiles. Okay, he starts by discarding the 7 of characters, which is also fine, but with this he is more committed to reversible tiles. Okay. So now obviously we need to call this one.
Pong.
And start by discarding the 3 of bamboo. Right?
Gang.
This is a reversible tile. So now we have lots of good opportunities. So let's start by discarding the other 3 of bamboo. Alright, so now this is a very interesting situation right here. Now we need to have to decide for a discard, right? So every tile in our hand currently is a reversible tile. Now we need to decide which tile is the least useful one. And if we look at our options here, right, the 2 most obvious candidates are here the 9 of circles and the 8 of bamboo, right? Why are those the most obvious candidates? Well, if you look at the 8 of bamboo, right, 7 of bamboo is not a reversible tile, right? So the only way that we get another reversible tile here is by drawing another 8 of bamboo, which there is only one available. So we don't have much chances with the 8 of bamboo. Now what about the 9 of circles, right? The 9 of circles can only be used as a pair or a pong, right? And we already see 2 of 9 circles are already out. So there are no chances also around the 9 of circles, right? Since the 7 of circles is also not in the reversible tile, we cannot use this in a 7, 8, 9 shape. right? But if we look at this a little bit more closely, right, we still have the option of going for an outside hand here. So if we draw the 7 of bamboo, right, we can go for an outside hand with a tile hog in either the 9 of bamboo or the 1 of circles. So we could also do this with the 9 of circles, right, drawing the 7, 8, 9. But in our case here, we already see 2 of the 8s, right? So the chances are already much lower, since on this side we already have the 8 and 9 of bamboo available to call the 7 of bamboo. So in this case you should discard the 9 of circles here, right? So now we are ready, right? We have a ready hand and we want to maximize our acceptance, right? And in this case we do have the fan of reversible tiles, as I said, 1 to 5 of circles, all reversible. So the obvious candidate to discard here is the 8 of bamboo, since if we keep the 8 of bamboo, we only accept the last 8 of bamboo. But if we discard the 8 of bamboo, we actually are ready for 2, 3, 5, and 6 of circles, where we can take everything except the 6 of circles, right? Since it is not a reversible tile. So now at this point the hand is already over for us, right? We can stop thinking and look for 2, 3, and 5 of circles. If anything comes out, we take this for the win. So let's jump right to the end and see if he gets it.
胡
And he gets it with self-draw, right? So you're waiting on 3 tiles. The chances of self-draw naturally is much bigger, right? And he has 17 fan, so quite a big hand. So let's jump to the last East round here. And okay, again, if your hand structure looks very good, right, and you don't want to think a lot already at the beginning, you can start by discarding the honor tiles, and then after you discard everything, then start thinking, right? So just discarding them, and that's a very good draw. Okay, and that's also a very good draw. So now we can start thinking about possible hand shapes here. And obviously this hand looks a lot like mixed shifted chows, right? So if we look at our hand structure right here, the only thing that is missing for mixed shifted chows is the 5 of bamboo, right? So let me show you the mixed shifted chows right here again. And if you look at our hand here, we already have everything except for the 5 of bamboo. So here, in this case, the only tile that does not fit well in our hand is the 2 of circles. So without thinking a lot, you can just start discarding it. Okay, now we draw the 7 of bamboo, and we are ready. So there are 2 discards where we can get a ready hand, right? And this is the 6 of circles or the 9 of circles. Now, I think this is a good moment to pause the video and think about what your discard would be to make the ready hand, right? 6 or 9 of circles. Okay, so let's think through both of these options. So let's assume we start by discarding the 6 of circles, right? What are we waiting for? Well, in our case here, we are waiting for mixed shifted chows, right? So what do we have then as our mixed shifted chow? Well, we are left with the 7, 8, 9 of circles. We have the 5, 6, 7 of characters, and then the shape that is missing for the mixed shifted chows obviously is the 6, 7, 8 of bamboo. So by discarding the 6 of circles, we are waiting for the 8 of bamboo, right? Now, if we discard the 6 of circles, we also could take the 5 of bamboo if we manage to get it by self-draw, right? So if we self-draw the 5 of bamboo, we would have enough fan to win the hand, right? Since it is a concealed hand, right? So let's count this together. We have a fully concealed hand, 4 points. We have all chows, which is 2. And then in addition, we have 2 times mixed double chow, right? In the 7, 8, 9 of circles, 7, 8, 9 of characters, and with a 5, 6, 7 of bamboo and a 5, 6, 7 of characters. So this is an argument of discarding the 6 of circles, right? So you can always take the 8 of bamboo, and you can take the 5 of bamboo by self-draw. Now, let's start by looking at the other option, discarding the 9 of circles. Well, then in our case here, we would have the following chows, right? And it seems like that we lose mixed triple chows, but that is actually not the case, because we also have the 7, 8, 9 in characters, and we are missing the shape of 5, 6, 7 of bamboo to make your ready hand. Now, here, if you discard the 9 of circles, you are waiting for the 5 of bamboo, right? Instead of the 8 of bamboo, right? But on the other hand, the question becomes, can you take the 8 of bamboo by self-draw, just like last time, right? Can you self-draw the 8 of bamboo, right? Because if you discard the 6 of circles, we can draw the 5 of bamboo ourselves to win the hand. But in this case here, if you look at this a little bit more closely, it is actually not possible to draw the 8 of bamboo, since you are missing 1 mixed double chow. So actually you only have 7 fan in your hand. Now, is then discarding the 6 of circles the right answer? Well, let's start thinking a little bit further here in this hand, right? And the keyword here is being flexible, right? So even after if you make a ready hand, you should think about, are there any upgrading possibilities to my hand that I can utilize? So if you start by discarding the 6 of circles, right, then your hand is fixed, right? You need to start discarding tiles until you either get the 8 of bamboo or drawing the 5 of bamboo yourselves. So let's visualize this hand shape. So here, 4, 4, we have 6, 7, we have 5, 6, 7, 7, 9, and then we also have the 7, 8, 9. So are there any upgrading possibilities right here? So actually the only upgrade that you can see is maybe the 9 of bamboo, right? So like this, right? If you draw the 9 of bamboo, then you are waiting for the mixed triple chow, but it loses the acceptance of drawing the 5 of bamboo by yourselves, right? Just getting 2 additional fan. So this upgrade path is not quite worth it, right? Now, is there something else? Well, let's start by deleting everything. So we have the 6 and 7, sorry. Have the 6 and 7. We have 5, 6, 7. And now imagine we draw a 6 of characters, right? And discarding the 9 of characters, right? right? Which would make our hand look like this. Now here in this case, what have we done to our hand? Well, if we look at it a bit more closely, we do have here again the acceptance for the 8 of bamboo, right? We still have the mixed shifted chows with the 8 of bamboo. But by drawing the 6 of characters here, right, we additionally gain the acceptance of the 5 of bamboo by taking it from other people, right? You notice that with the 5, 6, 7 of bamboo now, we also have mixed shifted chows in combination with the 6, 7, 8 of characters in the character suit, right? So this is the 6 of characters here is a very important upgrade to our hand that we need to keep track of, right? So this is why I think discarding the 6 of circles here is the correct choice, right? Since it maximizes our chance, our immediate chance of winning, and in addition we have an upgrade chance that can further increase our winning acceptance. Obviously that was a very long analysis and it is a hard decision, but let's see what he chooses here. Okay, he chooses the 9 of circles, and as we already discussed, you are still waiting, but you are losing the acceptance of the 8 of bamboo, right? You cannot draw the 8 of bamboo by yourself.
杠
Now here in this case you also have the upgrade option, but now it is not the 6 of characters, it is actually the 8 of characters, which then reintroduces the acceptance for the 8 of bamboo, since you then have no, it is also the 6 of it is the 8 of characters, since you would discard the 5 of characters to get the chance of a mixed triple chow with a 6 and 8 shape. 6, 7, 8 shape.
碰碰
So let's see what happens. Again, this 8 of bamboo here cannot be taken, right? It is not mixed shifted chows, and if he had instead previously discarded the 6 of circles, he could have won with this discard. So now he is forced to skip it. Or he can maybe call this tile, right? Which is also possible. But if he calls this tile, then it is not immediately obvious what his next plan is, right? He can call this and discard, for example, the 9 of characters, waiting for the 6 of characters, right, for mixed triple chow. But this again loses the fan of concealed hand, so you're going for a 6 fan hand with combination with a 2 fan, so 8 fan total to 8 fan. And you're also waiting on 1 tile less, right? You already have 1 of the 6 characters in your hand, and you're losing 5 of bamboo. So I would not call this tile. Let's see what he does.
吃
Okay, he calls this tile and discards the 9 of characters.
碰
Now waiting for the 6 of characters, and I don't see much that can happen to this hand anymore, so let's jump to the end and see if he gets the 6 of characters.
胡
He does not get it. Somebody won with all pungs with the 5 of 5 of bamboo. So let's go to this hand here. Again, if everything looks fine, start by discarding all of the honor tiles.
碰
And now we can start thinking. Okay, so let's see what is going on with this hand, right? And the immediate fan that comes into mind, if you look at this hand, should be the fan mixed straight, right? Let me visualize this for you. So you have this shape, and this shape, right? This is the mixed straight, and you already have 1 shape completed and 2 shapes that can be called, right? right? So this should be the fan you should be going for immediately, right? But what you can also notice is the possibility of getting pure shifted chows. So if we look at this structure right here, and this is a mixed shifted chows, and it is the characteristics of this shape is that you have two pairs that are separated by one tile here. And you do see this in our hand. So for example, if we draw either the 2 or the 1 of circles, we can move also towards the direction of the pure shifted chows, which is worth 16, so it's quite valuable. So the tiles that do not contribute to either of these plans is the 6 of bamboo or the 8 of circles, right? So we should start by discarding either one of them. He decides for the 8 of circles.
碰
Okay, so when this tile comes out, right, you still remember we have our mixed straight, right? So we still have this right here, sorry, this one, right? And we have two shapes that we can call that do not destroy our plan right here and move our hand one step further, right? We can call the 8 of bamboo, we can chi the 7 of bamboo, and we can pawn the 3 of circles. And the 3 of circles comes out, so we should just call it
碰
and then discard either the 5 of circles or the 6 of bamboo.
吃
And now we're just waiting to call either the 8 of characters or the 1 of bamboo. So I'm gonna just click through and see if he gets it. Okay, this tile doesn't do much, so I can just do this. Okay, now the question is, do you take ready? Do you take a ready hand here? And the answer that I think should be so here the thing is, right, you could discard the 9 of characters here to make a ready hand, but the thing is you cannot win with this hand because you do not have enough fan, right? You do not have one of the 6-point fans or higher. But if you discard the 9 of characters here, you do get the acceptance of drawing either the 4 of bamboo or the 5 of bamboo to get a ready hand for mixed shifted chows again, right? So in this case, you are hoping for the following shape right here, right? This is what you're hoping for when you're discarding the 9 of characters, but the difficulty is you have to draw the 4 and the 5 of bamboo by yourself, right? You must draw it by yourselves, right? Which is quite difficult. So I think you have better chances on calling the 1 of bamboo or the 8 of characters, right? These are also two tiles you want to draw, but you can in addition have the option of calling these tiles. So I would just discard the 5 of characters. So let's see what he does. Okay, he takes the ready hand. So now he is basically hoping for drawing either the 4 and the 5 of bamboo. Let's see if he gets it. Okay, now this becomes a little bit more interesting, right? By getting this draw, actually helps out his hand quite a lot, since he now should discard the 7 of characters. Why should he do this? Well, let's say he gets the 4 of bamboo with a call, right? Then he has the following tiles in his hand, and now he only needs, for example, the 3, 4, 5 of circles and the 4, 5, 6 of characters. Or it could be the other way around, the 3, 4, 5 of characters and the 4, 5, 6 of circles. So by discarding the 7 of characters, he can get a ready hand now by either calling either of the 3 of circles or characters or the 4 of bamboo. And he discards the 7 of characters. Now he really wants one of these 3s or the 4 of bamboo. of course, this tile, right? By drawing this tile, he cannot win the hand since he does not have enough fan. So he's forced to skip it.
杠 胡
And somebody else wins. All right. So, okay, I wouldn't have gone for his plan right here, right? I would have just hoped for the one of bamboo, right? Which we could have drawn, right? And we would have been ready on the 8 of characters, which was just discarded, right? So, quite unfortunate. Let's go to the next hand. Okay, so here you should discard the east wind, since maybe you draw the second red dragon, right? You get to play all types, so
碰
now we get a ready shape here. And looking at this hand in general, right here, my suggestion would be to discard the red dragon, since you have options of mixed shifted chows available, for example, right? Or mixed triple chow, for example. So we do not have all of the shapes quite yet, but we do hope for something like this, right? We can almost see it. And okay, he discards the one of characters. Maybe he wants to keep his chances of getting all types open still, right? But I do like my chances of getting a pure straight in the character suit a little bit more, right? And by discarding the one of characters, I think you're just
碰
giving up this chance. Okay, so now you should discard the red dragon.
碰 吃
This tile doesn't contribute to anything much. And now you have a ready hand. So if you take this ready hand, right, which you obviously should do, you should be aware that you cannot win this hand with a 7 of circles, even if you draw it by yourself, right? You only have fully concealed hand, middleweight, and mixed double chow. You only have 6 fan. So by discarding into the 4 of characters, you need to be aware that you need to find an upgrade. And the obvious upgrade here is the 6 of characters, which you should call if coming out from the left hand side to get ready for a mixed triple chow, which is 8 fan. The other possible options that you have is by getting either the 5 of circles or the 5 of bamboo to get a mixed shifted chows, right? So let's showcase this a little bit here. So we have this already, and now we really want, for example, the 5, 6, 7 of circles, right? But to get this, you have to either draw the 5 or the 7s of circles by yourself. So let's see what happens if he gets this upgrade.
碰
So here he gets the 5 of bamboo. Discarding the 8 of bamboo makes him ready for mixed shifted chows. Now mixed shifted chows is only 6 fan, right? But he also has a concealed hand. So he definitely has 8 fan. And he also has a closed weight, so he has exactly 9 fan. And now the hand is already completed, he's ready. There are no more upgrades here, so let's go to the end and see if he gets it.
胡
Oh wow, he got it immediately, so quite lucky, right? Immediately after this discard, he got his tile. So let's move on to the next hand. So again, here just discard the honor tile. Okay, he discards the 8 of circles, which is also fine because he has already seen what he wants, right? He has already seen his hand, right? Which is a mixed shifted chows in the lower range, right? So for example, right? For example, what he wants to get is something like this, right? To here, this one, and this one, right? He wants to get a mixed shifted chouse like this, which you can already see we have 3 shapes available, and we can start calling. And the 8 of circles does not contribute to this plan, so you can also discard this one. But if you want to be super safe, right, you can discard the west wind and maybe keep chances open for a mixed straight, for example, right? You can easily see something like this occurring on your hand if you keep this 8 of circles, right? But if you discard it, that's also not a problem. Okay, he gets the 2 of circles and the 3 of bamboo. So now the question becomes, what should you discard, right? And my first instinct is to just discard the 3 of bamboo right away, right? Because we have many options in getting a mixed shifted chouse into our hand. The most obvious one being the following way, which requires the 1 of bamboo, right? And getting somehow the 2 of bamboo and the 3 of characters, right? But there is also another way of getting mixed shifted chouse. So let's clear the hand, which is the following way here. So 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. Right? This is also a possible way to get a mixed shifted chouse. So we can either accept the 3 and the 6 of characters or the 2 or 5 of bamboo, right? But again, we can only accept the 2 of bamboo if we keep the 1 of bamboo in our hand, right? And in this case here, my suggestion is we should discard the 3 of bamboo, since we do not want to pawn this, right? This will never be our pair, since we want the mixed shifted chouse here. Let's see what he does. And he discards the 3 of bamboo. Now we get the 5 of bamboo, and now we can start confirming our shape by discarding the 1 of bamboo here.
Peng.
Okay, so here obviously we take this tile, since now after this call we are ready for mixed shifted chouse, waiting on the 6 of characters. So now we can skip straight to the end and see if he gets it.
Hu.
And he got it. Oh, and he got it immediately again. So quite lucky here, but again, it's all thanks to him making the correct decisions. Okay, there is a little bit of luck involved, but he made the correct decisions, which rewarded him with a very quick ready hand, so he can was able to take this tile. So let's go to the next hand. Again, if we see this hand, right, if you don't know what to do, just discard on the tiles. And now we start thinking, right? Now we start thinking. And the question is, do we have some special fun here that we can go for? And this hand is actually not that easy to play. What I would probably do is start by discarding the 7 of bamboo, right? Since the fan that needs only one more tile, drawing by yourself, of course, is mixed straight right here. With the following shape. You already have the 1 of 1, 2, 3 available. You call the 9 of bamboo, and then you need to hope for drawing either the 4 or the 6 of circles by yourselves, right? So this is one path that I see, and I also don't see how discarding the 7 bamboo could backfire in a big way. So, right? So let's start by discarding this one, and he does. Okay, so now we have an acceptance here in the circle suit, and Now things become a little bit more tricky. So what do we have here? Right, so again, we need to remember we have the possibility of this mixed straight. But now, what we also have is the possibility of having a mixed triple chow, like this, where we have to draw the 7 or the 8 of characters by ourselves. So what I would do probably is start by discarding the 1 and 2 of circles, probably. Since I do not see how the 1 and 2 of circles can contribute to any fan realistically here. Right? There's no, there could be a mixed straight here, but then we would need to discard the 4 of circles, 4 of characters, right? Which is also possible, right? So if we look at something like this, right, this is also possible. There we would need to draw the 5 and the 6 of characters. So lots of options right here, and I think that discarding either, so discarding anything could be fine here, right? So discarding the 9 of characters is okay, the 5 of characters is okay, 5 of circles is okay, and maybe discarding the 1 and 2. But since the 1 and 2 is already a shape that can be called, maybe you can start by discarding either the 9 of characters or the 5 of circles. Let's see what he does. He decides for the 5 of circles. Okay.
吃
So this card right here, I don't see how it contributes much to our hand. Let's see how he handles it. I would have discarded this right away. Okay, he also discards it right away. And this card does not seem too useful at the moment. But let's consider the acceptance rate for this tile. Right? So by keeping this tile in our hand, we gain the additional option of having a mixed shifted chow like this. But it also involves in us drawing the 3 and the 5 of bamboo by ourselves. Right? Which is possible. Right? It is possible. And yeah, so if he wants to keep this option alive, he should start maybe by discarding the 9 of characters. Let's see what he does. He starts by discarding the 4 of characters, which is a very interesting choice. So yeah, maybe he tries to fix his shape with a 2, 3, or 4 of characters. Right, let's see how this plays out. I'm quite interested. Obviously he calls this one. Right, he calls this one here.
吃
And now he should discard the 1 of characters to keep all of his chances open. Right, he could still get the mixed triple chow with the 7, 8, 9. Okay, he discards this one here, which is quite interesting. Right, so here he probably already is committed to an outside hand here. So then he should obviously discard the 4 of bamboo.
吃
Committing for an outside hand here. Calls this one, very good call. And now the question is, should you discard the 9 of bamboo or the 9 of characters, right? And to get a ready hand, you need to draw either the 7, 8, 9 in bamboo or the 7, 8, 9 in characters. So let's count how many of these tiles you can already see. So when counting for the characters, we see 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 of the tiles you need for making a ready hand are already out. Now if we look at the bamboo tiles, you see you called yourself here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5. 5 bamboo tiles are already out. So you have one more acceptance available in the character tiles, and also character tiles are being discarded a lot, right? So it might still be available. So I would start by discarding here the 9 of bamboo, right? Not the 8, because you can call the 7 of circles, right? And calling, being able to call something, is always more valuable than than having to draw this by yourselves, right? Okay, it discards the character tile, which loses 1 acceptance, right? It loses 1 acceptance, but okay. So okay, obviously you call this one and wait for the 9 of bamboo.
Pong.
And now there are no more upgrading options, right? Here you have the outside hand, and of course it's always important to check, do you have enough fan, right? Because outside hand is only 4 fan. Now, let's count. So you in addition have Pong of terminals, right? So 5 fan, you have 1 mixed double chow, which is 6 fan, right? And then you do not have all chows, right? But that means you can count no honors, which is 7, and you're waiting on 1 tile, which is 8. So single wait. You have exactly 8 fan. So, and remember, you have an outside hand, but you cannot switch your weight to an honor tile, because then you lose no honors, and then you only have 7 fan. So basically there are no more upgrading options. We can skip to the end and see if he gets the 9 of bamboo.
胡
He does not get it. Okay. So yeah, that was pretty unfortunate. So let's go to the next hand. So this hand looks very, very, very good, with very good chances of getting mixed triple chow, right? So if we look at this hand here, obviously this is the goal, right? We can call either of these 9s. But in addition, you also have the option of this mixed triple chow, right? You can call either the 6 or the 9 in bamboo or characters. If it comes out from the left, call any of these immediately, right? And then you can commit to the mixed triple chow. So let's see how this hand plays out.
碰吃
Okay, you don't want this. You drew the pair, now you discard either the 3 of circles or the 3 of bamboo.
碰
Now you drew the 6 of characters. Now you can start by discarding the 3 of bamboo and moving towards mixed triple chow. Okay, obviously you call this, drop this 9 of circles and wait for the 6 of bamboo.
碰
Okay, that is unfortunate, right? It can happen, but we still have all of the chances available. Now, here in this case, you should already discard the 9 of circles, right? Since you want to maximize your acceptance of getting in a ready hand, and since the 5 of the characters was already called away, you really want to improve your shapes, right? You want to keep the options of calling the 5 of bamboo with a pawn open. So let's start by discarding the 9 of circles and calling any of these tiles that we just mentioned, right? So 2 and a 5 of characters, we chi, 3 and a 5 of bamboo, we pawn, right? 3 of characters.
吃 胡
And he deals in. That's unfortunate, but it happens. Let's move on to the next hand. Okay. Shapes are looking quite solid here, so let's just discard all of the honor tiles.
杠
Okay, now we can start thinking. And here, this hand looks pretty interesting. So what you should notice here, or it is actually pretty hard to notice, but this hand has a pretty clear direction available for us, which is the knitted straight right here. So if you look at knitted straight, is a 12-point fan. It is a straight from 1 through 9 that cycles through suits. And in this case here, if we look at the tiles, right, for the knitted straight, we need something like this, the 2, 5, 8, and the 3, 6, 9. Right, this would be a knitted straight. And if we look at the hand, our hand here, we already have 8 of these tiles. Right, we have the 2, 5, and 8 of bamboo. We have the 1, 4 of characters, and we have the 3, 6, 9 of circles. So we only need the 7 of bamboo. So in that case, you should start maximizing your acceptance for anything else, right? You want this pair, you want a sequence, right, or a pawn, right? You want this as fast as possible so you can wait on the 7 of characters as fast as possible. Since you could draw it by yourself, but there's only this one singular tile you want to draw, which is quite difficult, right? So let's see how we maximize the chances of drawing into a pair, for example. So our sequence here obviously is already secured with a 5 and 6 of characters, right? So we can cheat a 4 or a 7. So drawing the pair is most likely with here the 6 or the 9 of character, so 3, 6, 9 of bamboo, right? So actually the 3 and the 6 of circles are the most unlikely ones, since you already have one out, right? Again, remember the 6 is not your pair because you want the 3, 6, 9 of circles in the knitted straight. So you can start by either discarding the 3 of bamboo or the 6 of circles. He decides for the 6 of circles. Okay, this is also once out. Now it gets a little bit tricky. So here either you discard either of the bamboo that is not 2, 5, and 8. So probably a 3 since it's already once cut. Okay, he discards the 9, which is also fine. Now he should discard the 3 to maximize his acceptance of drawing into a pair. He desperately needs a pair right now. Okay, so I wouldn't have done that, so but let's see what happens. Again, I would discard the 1 of circles or the 3 of bamboo, but with this draw right here, he maybe can go for mixed shifted chows, but again, it is quite far away, so we'll just discard this right away. Yeah. Okay, that doesn't do anything, right? Again, if we go back to this point here, I would have discarded the 3 of bamboo since it was twice cut, right? The 2 of circles is not cut once, so it is more likely to draw this into a pair. So here I would have discarded the 3 of bamboo right here, and now I would have gotten the pair with the 2 of circles, right? So I think this was a minor mistake right here. So forced to discard this. Okay, now again the 3 of bamboo 3 times discarded, so should discard the 3 of bamboo. It doesn't do it. right? Okay, now is maybe the time to consider giving up on the knitted straight, right? Since we cannot get anything done. And okay, he still
吃
holds on to this option, right?
吃胡
And the hand is over. Okay, so even if we had the pair, we wouldn't have won the hand since we still needed to get somehow the 7 of characters. Okay, so let's go to the next hand. Okay, we start by discarding honor tiles, and we still have more honor tiles, and now we start thinking. Okay, so the most obvious option available here to us, obviously here, is mixed shifted chows. We have 3 shapes at the ready. Let me just show this for you here. This is the mixed shifted chows that we can reasonably get into our hand. And do we have any additional options here? Not likely, right? So in this case, we should start by either discarding the 3 of circles or the 7 of bamboo. Let's see what he does. He discards the 7 of bamboo. Okay, now we should discard the 3 of circles, because this draw of the 9 of characters gives us the additional acceptance of calling the 7 of characters, right? So again, these shapes here for the mixed shifted chows are fixed, and we need to maximize the acceptance anywhere else. So
杠
discard this one here.
碰
Let's see what happens. This tile is not really useful since our shape in the mixed triple chow is already fixed. So should just discard this right away. Again, if one of bamboo or one of characters comes out, you should call this.
碰
So here you call the 7 of characters
吃
and discard either the 1 of characters or the 1 of bamboo. Here it seems like either has the same danger level, so we can just discard either one of these. He decides for the 1 of characters. Again, looking at this mixed shifted chows, you only want the 5 of characters and the 5 of bamboo.
胡
And the hand is already over, so it doesn't matter. Let's move on to the next hand. Okay. Again, discard honor tiles, then start thinking, if there's nothing obvious.
碰
Okay, so now what do we have here? Well, the most obvious fan that we see in our hand is again mixed shifted chows, where we have the chance of getting something like this one into our hand, which are only 2 tiles away, right, from having these shapes here. So anything that does not contribute to that we can discard, maybe starting with the 1 of characters, right? So now we get an additional shape in the circle suit, and to keep all of our options open, we should start by discarding the 2 of bamboo. Right?
吃
We keep the 9 of bamboo since we can still draw the 8 of bamboo. So, okay, this is a very interesting option here. So in my case here, I think I would discard the 1 of circles here, since I believe a pawn, we can get the pawn much faster than achieve the 2 of circles, since it's already once discarded. Let's see what he does. he discards the 5 of circles, which is also okay, since this also keeps his chances of a pure straight open. So
吃
okay, this tile is not very useful, so I think we should just discard this one. He draws the 8 of circles, which is also not very useful, right? We do not want to give up the mixed shifted chows, so I would discard this right away.
吃
Now the question is, do you call this tile? And in my opinion, it is possible to call this and move towards mixed shifted chows or pure straight. Let's see what he does.
吃
He calls this tile, and then the next step would be to discard 5 of circle, 5 of bamboo, 5 of bamboo. So now he's looking to call the 9 of circles, or basically anything that helps him to get either mixed triple chow or a pure straight. Right now, mixed triple chow here becomes an option for us. Okay. Now comes an interesting point. Do you go for the pure straight or do you go for the mixed triple chow, right? Of course, the pure straight here is worth 16 fan, right? And it is double the value of the mixed straight here, of the mixed triple chow, which is only 8. Now we also need to consider acceptance rate, right? So let's imagine we start by discarding the character tiles. If we discard, let's say, the 7 of characters, we can only make ready with a 2 and a 4 of circles, right? We must get either one of these to get the ready hand. But if we start by discarding the 1 of circles and committing for the mixed triple chow, we can have 3 tiles acceptance, namely the 4 and 7 of circles and the 8 of characters, right? So 1 tile acceptance more that we can all call. But you again need to remember to count how many tiles are already out, right? So if you discard the 7, you are waiting for the 2 and the 4 of circles. 1 is already out, so there are 7 available, right? 7 available. And if you discard the 1 of circles, you are waiting for the 4 and the 7 of circles and the 8 of characters. Let's see how many of those are already out. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We see 5 of 12. So 12 minus 5 is 7. So there are also 7 available, right? So the same amount. And considering that the pure straight is worth much more than the mixed triple chow, I would start by discarding the 7 of characters, right? He discards the 9 of characters, which is equivalently as good.
吃
And he immediately draws the 2 of circles. He is ready, and now we can skip to the end and see if he gets the 4 of circles.
胡
He doesn't get it. Okay. Sometimes is like that. Let's go to the next hand. Again, if there is nothing immediately obvious, like knitted, then start discarding all of the honor tiles. Okay. So now we start the game basically, and here the most obvious direction we can go for is a mixed shifted chows in the upper hand range, right? For example, you want something like this one, right? You want, for example, something like this. You're only missing the 8 of characters and the 7 of circles, which you can both call. So it's a very good direction. And the tile that does not contribute at all to this plan is here the 1 of bamboo, and technically also the 1 of circles. So maybe start by discarding the 1 of bamboo. And here this doesn't do anything, so okay, the one of circles also didn't do anything, so let's just start discarding. Right? So actually the 3 of bamboo might be doing something, right? So for example, if you get something like this one here, right? Also possible, right? But he discards this option right away.
吃
Okay, so here, this call here is a very crucial one, since you want to call for mixed triple chow, mixed shifted chow, sorry. And the only way to do this, right? If we have this one and we have this one, right? These are the shapes that we can see in the other suits. So you need to have this shape to get to a mixed shifted chows. Therefore, you should call this tile with a 6 and the 8 of circles,
吃
which he does. And then you should discard maybe the 8 of circles, right? Since you could draw acceptance around the 7 of bamboo more easily, right? Since you now want to get a ready shape, so maybe you should discard the 9 of characters or the 8 of circles and start maximizing the acceptance, since you still need one more shape here in this hand. And to maximize this, I suggest discarding the 9 of characters. So I think this is a slight mistake, right? Since you could draw something like the 6 or the 5 of bamboo, right? And have a shape here in bamboo that you can call, right? So let's see if his decision was correct. And he immediately punished, right? So could have had the acceptance for the 6 of bamboo, right? And I think now he sees it. That's a very good tile, so should discard the 8 of circles. Probably, yeah. Okay. Now here, that's the thing. The only thing that is missing from his hand is a pair, right? He wants a pair right now, and we want to maximize the chances of drawing a pair. Now the most obvious discard is the 2 of characters, since you already see 3 pieces, so drawing the last 2 of characters is quite unlikely. Alright? But I do want to mention a trick here that you can use if you have this shape and you desperately need a pair, right? In this case, we already see 1, 2 of characters out, right? So there's only 1 more left. But if there were 2 more left, right? If there were 2 more left, and you suspect that it is highly likely to come out from the player on your left, right? It is actually beneficial to keep this shape in your hand, hoping to cheat a 2 of bamboo characters, right? Into the 1, 2, 3 shape, which leaves you with a pair of the 2 of characters, right? So you don't have to draw the single weight to the pair yourselves. You keep the option open of calling the 2 of characters. But in this case, 1 is already out, and the player to our left, if we look at his discard pool, he really needs characters. So it's very unlikely that we get this from him, so I would just discard the 2 of characters. He doesn't do it, which is quite surprising.
吃 碰
Right? Okay, I still would... Okay, here is equally as strong. Now we have this shape here. Doesn't do a lot, right?
胡
And he deals in. Okay. I think he also wanted to cheat a 2 of characters, but again, looking at the discard pool, it's just not likely to come out from this guy. Let's go to the next hand. Okay. So discarding honor tiles and discarding honor tiles, and now we start thinking. Now immediately if you see this, shape here, so the 1, 4, 7 of bamboo, right? You immediately look for knitted straight, right? And you have also the 5 and 8 of circles. So what you could maybe see is this shape right here, right? This possibility here, which you need the 2 of circles and the 9 of characters. Now previously we also had the situation where we could go for knitted straight, but there we needed only 1 more tile. Here the difference is we need 2 more tiles, which one we have to draw for ourselves. This makes the situation much more complicated, right? Much more complicated to accomplish. So because of that, my suggestion here would actually to give up on this knitted straight, since the rest of this hand looks very promising, right? We can easily imagine something happening around the lower range with a mixed shifted chows, for example, right? If you look at this one, right, this can very well happen. Or what can also happen is like a mixed shifted chows looking something like this, right? 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, right? This can all happen, right? Right? It's not far away. So I suggest starting by discarding the 8 of circles here. Let's see what he does. Okay, this discard signalizes that he is in fact trying to get the knitted straight done. So let's see if he gets it. Okay, now obviously you should be going for the mixed shifted chow route that we have mentioned by discarding the 8 of circles. He discards this tile. I think it gives up a bit of acceptance, right? He can get the 1, 2, and 3 of mixed shifted chows, but okay, he also has other options, right? Since he also can go for the mixed shifted chows shown down below, right? So he doesn't technically lose acceptance by dropping this 1 of bamboo. So that's also a good discard here. Now I should discard the 8 of circles.
Pong.
Right? And here one of the disadvantages of discarding the 7 of bamboo previously here is you don't have a good pair right now, right? So you really wanted this pair with the 7 of bamboo, right? Which makes the progress of your hand much quicker. So in this case here, probably start by discarding the 7 of bamboo, since I don't see lots of potential around this tile here. So let's see what he does. He discards it.
Pong. Pong.
Okay. Okay. Obviously you should call this tile, right?
吃
So after this call, there are 2 possible options right now. The first option is taking ready with the 4 of bamboo. Now, do you have enough fun when taking ready, right? What are your weights? The weights are the 4 of characters and the 7 of characters. Now it seems like you don't have any things like mixed shifted chows available, so it seems like you don't have enough fun. But if you look a little bit more closely at the board, you see that the 7 of characters has been called with a pawn. So that makes the 7 of characters the last tile, which gives 4 fan, right? You also have all chows, which is 6 fan, right? You also have double chow, right? In the 3, 4, 5, which is 7 fan. So, and by discarding the 4 of bamboo, you have a 1 voided suit, which is 8 fan. So by discarding the 4 of bamboo, you're waiting for the last 7 of character only, for exactly 8 fan. But if you are lucky, you can even get a robbing the Kong, right? If the player on your left, let's say, attempts to can the tile, you get an additional 8 fan for robbing the Kong. So this can also happen. Technically 4 additional fans, since you can't count last tile that way, but whatever. So this is option 1, right? So what is the second option? The second option is trying to go for a mixed shifted chow or mixed triple chow in the bamboo suit, right? So what are the shapes that we can see, right? So let's say we draw a 2 of bamboo. Then we can get 2, 3, 4 of bamboo. We have the 3, 4, 5 of circles. So it seems like we need the 4 and 5 of characters. But remember, we already called the 1, 2, 3 of circles. So technically we can get a mixed shifted chows with 3, 4, and 5 of characters. This is one option. Another option, let's say we draw the 6 of bamboo, which gives us this shape here, combined with this shape in the circle suit. We need then the 2, 3, 4 of characters to get a mixed shifted chow, right? And if we draw something else, right, we can also consider mixed triple chow like this. And the discard that keeps all of these options open is the 6 of characters, right? So these are the two options. You either take your chance at the last 7 of characters, or you discard the 6 of characters, hoping to draw either one of these 4 tiles by yourselves, right? Remember, you have to draw it by yourself. But if you draw it, you're immediately waiting. Okay. So now to make a decision, you need to think about how likely is the 7 of characters coming out, right? Is anybody looking likely to need this tile? Okay, so let's look at the right player. Based on his discards and calls, we can presume that he's going for all pongs, or maybe upper 4, right? Maybe. But it's looking like all pongs. Now, if we look at the opposite player here, we see that he discarded the 7 of characters, right? And the 6 and 8 of characters. So he probably doesn't need it, right? It was highly likely to not need it. And then we have the player to our left who called the tile and has a low likelihood going for half flush, since he discarded the 9 of characters quite early. So the 7 of characters is looking very good, right? Is looking very good in the wall. So the play here probably is to discard the 4 of bamboo and take the chance at the last 7 of characters. Of course, it can be at the very end, right? This can happen and then you don't win the hand. But yeah, but the other option again is discarding the 6 of characters. The 2, 3, 5, 6 are not discarded a lot, right? You see only 1. So there are a lot of tiles available, presumably available, right? So if you discard the 6 of characters, also I think is a perfectly fine option. But again, discarding the 4 of bamboo puts you ready immediately, right? You can win at any time. So let's see what he does. And he takes the chances at his last 7 of characters. So now there's no more options. We just have to click to the end and see if he gets it.
胡
And he gets it with robbing the Kong. Okay, so congratulations to Dennis, right? Was very well played. Okay, so now we have this hand here, and if you see lots and lots of single tiles in the suit, you check for the pure straight, right? And the pure straight here is 2 calls away. So let's see what happens in this hand. Okay, probably discard the south wind here. And now we start thinking. We get an additional shape in the bamboo suit. So here you can start by discarding maybe the 6 of circles, right here.
碰，吃，
And now you can also already consider something like a full flush here. So maybe discarding the 3 of circles here, right? And okay, we just discarded that. Okay, now here is the interesting thing. Do you take this, right? If you take this, you cannot get a pure straight anymore, but you move closer towards the full flush. And it is very close to the end of the round, and we are in second place. So you want to get one more win in as fast as possible. And I think calling this tile, it gives us good chances, but we should call it with a chi, right? We should call it with a chi, since it uses up the 1 of bamboo, which otherwise after pawn becomes quite useless in our hand. So let's see what he does.
吃，
Right, he calls it with a 1, 2, 3, and he should discard the 6 of characters. Okay, so now the decision of committing for full flush is clear,
吃，
and we call anything that we can.
吃，碰，
Right, this tile comes out, we can call it, so
Pong.
we do it. So here,
碰，
we're just waiting for bamboo tiles.
碰，
Okay, here we call this,
碰，
and now we can take ready, right? Now the question is, what weight do we take? Do we take the weight on the last 6 of bamboo, or do we take the weight on the last 4 of bamboo? Okay. So not the last 4. We have 2 discarded, so there are technically 2 more 4 of bamboo, right? And while looking at this, me personally, I would have waited on the 4 of bamboo, right? You could, if you wait on the last 6 of bamboo, you get 6 more fan for tile hog and last tile, right? Which is quite a bit. But again, you are contemplating there's 1 tile left versus 2 tiles left. So technically the left hand option is twice the acceptance, right? And if you look at how likely the 4 of bamboo is in the other's hand, right, it's quite unlikely. So the opposite player and the player to the right discarded it already. And there is not much acceptance left, right? The 2 of circles are all out, right? And the 6 of circles, the 2 of bamboo, the 6 of bamboo is 3 times out, right? The 5 of bamboo is 3 times out, so it is unlikely that the 4 is in the other's hand. Okay, here we can see it is in fact once in the other's hand, right? In reality, we don't see it, but you get the point, right? So here I would probably wait on the 4 of bamboo. Let's see what he does. And he waits on the last 6 of bamboo. So let's see what happens if he gets it.
胡，
He indeed gets it with self-draw. So that is the game-winning play, apparently, right? Apparently I was wrong, he was right. Right? Sometimes I also notice it that taking the tile that is discarded 3 times or twice is better, sometimes better than taking the weight on a tile that has not been seen yet. So okay, so now it is North 4 with him in a big lead, so I don't think anything can happen here. So just discard honor tiles.
碰
And now we can start thinking again. And here, again, what could be the fun that we can looking for? And if you see a 6 and 9, you first look at the possibility of a knitted straight here. The most likely candidate is this one, but again, you need to draw 2 tiles by yourselves to get it, namely the 4 of characters and the 3 of bamboo. So if this is the case, if you need 2 more, right, I already don't quite like this prospect. So what I do think is worth it to go for is the pure shifted chows in the character suit, where you need only the 2 and the 4 of characters, right, to get this shape. So let's see how this hand progresses. He gets the 9 of characters. So in this case, I would start by discarding the 2 of circles, since it doesn't seem to fit in any sort of shape here. He discards the 9 of bamboo, which is also acceptable. Now discarding the 2 of circles, since now we already can see maybe also the possibility of a mixed shifted chows, like this one. Like this one, for example. So let's see what happens. He draws this tile, which gives him another way of getting the mixed shifted chows, right? Remember, let's clear the hand. Now he also gains the acceptance of the 6 of circles, since with the 5, 6, 7 of characters, he can now also get 4, 5, 6 of bamboo to complete this shape. So my next discard, or the tile that does not contribute to any of these plans, is the 9 of characters or the 5 of circles. Remember, we can still get mixed shifted chows, so a pure shifted chow, sorry. He discards the 5 of circles. Okay, now you discard the 9 of characters, since we only need the 2 of characters to get pure shifted chows. Okay, that is very unfortunate. All of the 2 of characters are dead, so when going back to this tile here, the question is, do you call this tile? And the answer, in my opinion, should be yes, you should call this tile. Alright? So after we call this tile, what would be our next discard? Well, our next discard should be the 4 of bamboo. So here in our case, the 2 of characters is dead, right? It's 4 times out, so we cannot get it. But now let's imagine if it was available, right? Let's say 2 or 3 times available. If we call this 9 of circles, right? We would be 1 away from ready for mixed shifted chows, like this, right? We only need the 7 of bamboo and a pair. And we can get this pair by either drawing or calling 1, 2, and 3 of characters, right? No, by either drawing the 1 or the 3 of characters, right? We can get this pair here. We will be ready for mixed shifted chows, or we just draw the 7 of bamboo by ourselves. This can also happen. And we can also call the 3 of characters with a G to give us a pair as well. And now in addition, after calling this 9 pin, discarding the 4th bamboo, what we would have on our hand is this structure. So let me point the structure out here. 1, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9. So we would have like this. And what we can also draw is a pair by drawing the 6 or the 8 of bamboo, discarding the other one, waiting for a pure shifted chows with a 2 of characters. So in total you have 6 tile acceptance getting you to a ready hand, which you can call 3 of them, right? You can call the 7 of bamboo, you can call the 2 of characters, you can also cheat a 3 of characters, right? So a very good acceptance. But in our case here, the 2 of characters is dead, so the option of the pure shifted chows does not exist, but still you can still get the mixed shifted chows, right? You can still get mixed shifted chows, which also puts you one away from ready, right? So mixed shifted chows like this, and since the 2 of characters is already dead, you see 1 of characters, it is highly likely that the 1 of characters is still in a wall, which you can draw into a pair. And you can also cheat the 3 of characters into a pair, right? You can also call the 6 of characters, right? Which also leaves you with a 3 of characters as a pair. So I would call this tile and discard the 4 of bamboo to put me 1 away from ready, which he skips, right? Which I think is a slight inaccuracy. So I think maybe he's just defending right now, or trying to deal in, I don't know. So he would have drawn, or no, if he called he wouldn't have drawn it, but now he has his pair.
Peng. Peng.
So I think just let this hand play out, right? I think he's just defending at this point, and somebody wins the hand by self-draw. Okay, so that was the analysis of the game of Dennis, top-ranked player of MahjongSoft. I want to say MahjongSoft. And yeah, I hope it was an interesting analysis, right? I hope you have learned a little bit more about the strategy of hand building in MCR, right? And yeah, if you liked this video, please leave a like and comment, and maybe we see us again at another analysis of an MCR.